my goals in life is to create a conscious community, like where people who want to be enlightened can come and vibrate on the same plane with other conscious people. But what is your assignment? What is your purpose? A lot of people get caught up in their jobs and their work environments, and they define themselves by what they do at work. But reconnect with your spiritual self and your purpose, and that's what you're ultimately supposed to be putting out into this universe.
We'll get you on this show, talk about your dreams, aspirations, goals, whatever you want to discuss that's going to help somebody get better. How's it going, everyone? Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Unlimited Power Show. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of bringing to you an amazing individual, and showcasing her story will not only inspire you, but hopefully move you and educate you. If you don't know much about Unlimited Power, this is the show where we shine light on your unlimited capability to achieve greatness, thus being your unlimited power.
There you go.
We have Patra Smith here on the show, and like I always say, I do not introduce anyone to the Unlimited Power show. I believe that everyone has the unlimited power to achieve and inspire by telling their own story. So with that being said, why don't you tell us a little bit background story about starting from your purpose, besides where you're from and what's your mission in life, like what are you waking up every day to do?
My purpose, I'm glad we start there because I feel like that's the most important thing. People like to lead with what do they do in the working field, but I think my purpose is like my most important priority in my life. So with my purpose is spiritual growth. I wake up every day to grow to a higher level spiritually, to learn myself, to learn the God within myself every day. So my purpose is my spiritual growth, and with me growing spiritually, and it's such an amazing euphoric feeling as I get to each level, it's like I can't help but want to share it with other people so they can also recognize the God within themselves and get introduced to their Atman, their soul. So
that's beautiful. So tell us a little bit story about your history, like where are you from?
I was born in Freeport, Bahamas.
You lived where people vacation, and then now you come to live where people vacation again.
Well, first of all, I think the best experience of going to the Bahamas, the island is obviously very beautiful with, the clear waters and, the bright sun. I think the best attribute of the Bahamas is actually its people, because the people there are just authentically nice.
Yeah.
That was a big culture shock for me when I came here, because we are used to like walking past each other and saying good morning, good afternoon, good evening.
Yeah.
And then when I came here and I spoke to people, they kind of looked at me like, I don't know you.
Oh yeah, I get
so
that.
It's kind of culture shock.
I get that. That was the same thing because I was in Haiti. I was born in Haiti.
Oh really?
So
okay.
It's the same thing here. When I'm like, sometimes now I'm anxious to even say hi. I have to think twice.
Right.
I'm like like
you try to
people
read their
usually
energy.
they try to they try to redirect the focus away from you.
Exactly. That people aren't used to it, so they're a little bit shy and taken aback too. So it's like I think people want to be nice, but because they're in an atmosphere where it's not exactly shown all the time and it's not welcomed, they just conform to their atmosphere. So when you say hi to them, you're calling them to step outside of the norm, and it's like they're kind of taken aback by it. So
do you think that's breaking the natural law of, like you said, spirituality? Because part of being spiritual is connecting with each other.
Absolutely. I always say that. I said I never met God in the flesh, but I've thanked God for people that I've met. So I like to think that I've met God through the people that I've met, through my experiences with them. So like if you keep that in mind on your daily walk, it'll make you want to connect more, because who would turn down opportunity to meet God.
Yeah.
But every time you kind of like swiftly walk past somebody or end a conversation really quickly, you're kind of like shutting down your meeting with God, because that's a part of God, you know.
That's beautiful, because God is love.
Yes.
And it's infinite love, the wisdom that we have wisdom, that we have the world in general. So if God is love, and when a baby is born, created out of love, and so it means that we are love.
Absolutely.
So when we shut down our light, we can't, not only don't we don't receive love, but we can't give it.
Absolutely. That's another thing I say. Love is our fundamental nature. And I always say, like, be aware that whatever you're blocking from going out, you're also blocking it from coming in. So a lot of people, you know, people experience a lot of stuff in their upbringing that, you know, make them hold back on loving freely. They feel like if they need to, you have to pass a test to get their love. It's like conditional love, you know, like people don't say I love you freely. It's like, oh, well, I don't know you that well to love you. I can say, you know, I love you because the same soul in you is the same soul in me, you know. So, but people are kind of stingy with their love, and then the one thing that they need is love, but you're blocking that from coming in because you don't have a clear channel of it going out. So you're blocking that energy going out and coming in.
Yeah, I mean, love is not selfish. You know, love is kind. There's a verse for that. I wish I would remember that. I would have killed it right now. I was about to be like, I'm about to drop it, the verse.
I wish I could help you. I can't remember it off the top of my head either.
So speaking of love, how is your love for people, for growth, and for getting your utmost best self out, which you define as
Atman.
Atman.
Yes.
So let's piggyback on that. That word, where does it come from, and why have you started using that as a way to define that?
It comes from the Hinduism. The reason why when I learned about that word, because I studied yoga, I'm a certified yoga instructor, and I learned about that word, and the definition of it is your innermost soul. And I love that word because I feel like a lot of people operate on just flesh, because they're just, you know, what they see. Basically, they operate on a worldly plane, and then they forget about their soul. So I started putting that word out there and having people become more familiar with their Atman, your soul, what's inside, because it kind of reminds you that you're not just flesh, you're also soul. You have a spiritual assignment, you know. So it kind of like reconnects people with their purpose. So when you talk about Atman, you talk about your soul. Your soul is connected to the universe, to God. And it just brings you in like a connective state of mind, a loving state of mind, and it reminds you to remember what is your intentions, what is your true intentions from the inside, and what is your ultimate purpose. Keep that in mind as you function throughout the day. So that's what Atman means to me, basically.
You know, speaking of purpose, we discussed like your vision, your mission, and your purpose. What is your profession? Like, what do you do?
What do I do professionally? Well, I own 2 commercial repair businesses. So it's basically my company do repairs on commercial businesses. So basically, it's pretty boring.
Like what sort of what commercial repairs would you say?
Commercial repairs, you know, commercial businesses would be Walgreens, Walmart, you know, like BJ's Wholesale, Costco's, stuff like that. So we do repairs on docks, doors, those type of things. So people will call us for their electrical repairs, stuff like that.
So I find that very interesting that you do exterior repairs and then interior repairs.
I like that.
Yeah.
I haven't thought about it like that. I'm glad that you just connect that for me.
Yeah, so let's talk about the internal repairs that you do. I know that you are a motivational coach, you're a life coach. Tell us some more.
I'm a certified life coach, a solution-focused life coach. So I focus more on the solution. So, you know, people love talking about their problems, but I love to steer people towards a solution. Let's get out of your problems. So, yes, that's the internal work that I do, like with myself. First, honestly, the most work I do right now is with myself.
Right.
That's where it starts.
The biggest enemy is within self, you know?
True.
Like if you want to find one person to fight off, fight that second person inside of you.
Oh, you called it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So speaking of fighting off the second person, I've been in circumstances where I have to fight against myself.
Right.
What are some things that you've had to fight up over time to become, you know, the wonderful, prominent woman that you are today?
Well, when I think of self-battle, the first thing I think of is addiction.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had an experience with addiction, with alcohol addiction. And that's something that I've truly found myself and valued myself by going through that experience. So when I think of a fight, I think of a fight for myself. Because you can lose yourself in an addiction. You know, you can lose yourself in a drug. You know, I always say drugs are like spirits, you know.
Yeah.
And you take them in and you've just taken in a spirit.
Yeah.
So you kind of lose yourself.
That's a good way to put it.
You look at it like that. It's a true way to put it. It's the truth. If you ever heard of wine and spirits?
Yeah.
Okay, there's the hint. So yeah, that's one of the ways. Another way, I fight myself every day because I'm always doing self-work. I'm always looking for ways to grow. So when I'm looking for ways to grow, I'm looking for things about myself that's not very loving. Like maybe things like me being selfish. I go through different stages and I work on different things one at a time. I don't try to find everything that's wrong about me and then try to, you know, bombard myself with trying to fix it.
I think it'll put you down.
Drive
you
me
feel
crazy.
Like
I know. So I try to work on one thing at a time. So, you know, I had my season with being selfish. So I asked myself, like, what's the antidote of being selfish? Like, what's the opposite of selfish? And it's like being giving, being open, letting go. Don't be attached to these material things, you know, let go and give not only materialistically, but more importantly, open my heart to people and give love, you know, give forgiveness. That's one of the things too that I feel like was a big stepping stone, learning how to forgive. So yeah, I pick these little sections in my life that I see need working on, and the way I find those sections is by people, by communicating through people. People are mirrors, so you get to see yourself. When you're just hanging out with yourself, you're telling yourself, oh, I'm a wonderful person. All you see is good. But when you start communicating with people and people start pushing your buttons and certain things people do get to you, you need to reflect on yourself, not the person. Why is this getting to me? You know? And that is going to point at an area in your life that you probably need to work on.
So sometimes you don't need to look exactly in the mirror. You might have to look beyond the mirror, you know, look at other people and see their qualities, and when they throw their troubles at you, when they throw their like conceptions at you, how do you handle that, and how do you forgive? Well,
more so when people tell you about yourself, reflect on yourself.
So
like say you're dealing with someone and somebody says, you know, Edward, you're a really selfish guy. And the first thing's going to come up is your defense mechanism, right? But you should go home at least by yourself and reflect on it and say, well, am I selfish? If somebody called me that before, or if somebody says, you know, Edward, your integrity is poor, or, you know, you lie a lot. You may not see it because we like to tell ourselves the best stories about ourselves, right? But somebody from the outside will see it. So that's why I say use people as mirrors, because they'll reflect back to you who you are. And you should just take it into consideration, not to say that everything somebody says about you should stick with you, but just take it into consideration. Ask yourself, have I heard that before? And then maybe that's something you need to look into.
Like, it's like, you know, I've gotten that deductive reasoning. There are times where, like you said, letting certain things get in the way of you being your true self.
Right.
And then somebody would be like, yo, Ed, like, this is not how you do business, you know? Like, let's say this is one instance where I I personally felt like, yeah, maybe I should be on my time, on schedule. Like, I let my life get in the way. And so once you know you've grown, if somebody can tell you, this is unprofessional, this is not how you should do it, and then you look at that, and then you acknowledge it, and then you admit to it.
Right.
And then there you can begin to work forward.
Right.
So I think that's a quality that's amazing to have. Always try to like take people's advice. If it's constructive, grow from it. If it's destructive, destroy it.
It is, you're right. You said it's a good quality to have, to be able to listen to people's criticism and take it in as, okay, constructive criticism, because a lot of people, the first thing they do is shut it down, and the defense mechanism come up. You know, the first step is in admitting it. That's with anything.
Yeah, gotta admit it.
And that takes being humble. That takes humbling yourself. You know, get off your high and mighty horse and just reflect, do some self-reflection.
So having humility is very important.
Yes, it is.
Okay, so you're a beautiful Black woman.
Thank you.
There's a lot of beautiful Black women here on campus, and a lot of people who are watching this video are.
We're talking about beauty and having substance as well.
Yeah.
Because you think people probably just see beautiful people as hollow, like it's just a shell, right? You know, I think that's been put out there, you know, in movies.
Yeah.
The pretty blonde or the pretty girl, the cheerleaders are always like ditzy and
I think
clueless.
men ruled it from the beginning of time.
I know.
Not just from movies.
I know.
I'm sorry.
I love that. Thank you. Are you apologizing on behalf of all the men?
Yeah, of all the men. I am sorry, guys, and women are gonna take over. So
I'm glad you know that.
Oh,
we're in our stage of takeover.
Yeah, I know. I see it.
Just be a good supporter.
Yeah.
But back to your question, that was an awesome question, because like I was saying in our pre-interview of talking beforehand, people have like preconceived conceptions about you based on what you look like. And they don't give you a chance because they already drawn a conclusion about you. So it's a lot of times that I come to a certain setting and people already to draw their conclusion about me, that either I'm stuck up or, you know, I'm not gonna talk to her because she's not gonna talk to me. And I have to break that ice. And I love doing that. That's one of my assignments, my daily assignments.
Too powerful.
I love coming up to a cash register or something like that, and somebody has like not the best attitude. You know, maybe they have a pre-drawn conclusion of me, so they're giving me a little attitude. Or maybe they're just not having a good day, and by the time I leave that cash register, they're smiling and they're like, okay, have a wonderful day. And I'm like, that's certainly not how you greeted me, so I must have done something right to shift the atmosphere. So, yeah. Back to your question again.
So how are you balancing beauty and substance and redefining what it means to be a beautiful woman and a beautiful Black woman while still having substance, and not letting those two change people's perceptions of who you are?
Well, I try to let my spirit run the show. I balance it by just simply having substance. By the time, the only way you get a idea about me is if you haven't met me yet. But anytime you've met me, you know, like it's more to me than what you may see. It's more than meet the eye, that what meets the eye, basically. So, but the way I balance it is just by simply having substance, being myself. I'm letting my inner self shine through. Operating on a spiritual plane, you know, not regardless of how people come at me, or people say don't judge a book by its cover, right? But everybody judges a book by its cover. So everybody has these pre-drawn conclusions about everybody. So once you meet me, I just try to make sure you know who I am. And I just do that by being me. I'm not doing that based on what you may think of me, or you know, what image you think I may fit in. I know who I am.
Right.
So I make sure I display that in my meeting with people. So I kind of just let my energy shine through, and it is what it is. I just be me.
That's awesome. Because I think being beautiful is a burden.
You should know.
How should I know?
You're a beautiful man. You should know.
It's not a burden for me.
You take it on easily. Okay, cool.
You know, I think people prejudge me sometimes.
So you're asking
what
me,
advice can you give to someone who feel that way, and to not feel that way?
Well, just be yourself. I would say set your intentions. What's your intention? What do you want to put out into the universe? Regardless of what people see, you know who you are. You have to connect with who you are internally. You know, who are you? First ask yourself, who am I? And then once you connect with that, you say, what do I want to put out into the universe? And regardless of how people are coming at you, you display and project what is it that you want to put out into the universe, you know. So don't go with their flow.
Yeah, go with yours.
Yeah, and you know what? Sometimes that challenge is a challenge to, like you say, I want to be kind, I want to be nice, but I don't always have the environment of kindness. You know, I'm like, you know what? I set an intention every day. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going to be kind to everybody every day. And the first cash register, or, you know, I'm at the gas station, I go to pure attitude. That's a challenge for me, you know?
Yeah.
I think that's the universe saying you want to be kind. Here's your opportunity to be kind. You know, I'm not going to give you a simple situation to show your. It's easy to be kind when people are being kind to you, right?
Well, yeah.
So it's like the universe sets you up to build up that kindness. You want to be kind? It's a muscle. You have to build it up. So you get put in settings to exercise your kindness, and it's not going to be in settings where it's easy to be kind. That's the same thing with patience. People say, I want to be patient. And then you go out in your car and you're in a lot of traffic.
Yeah.
You go to the DMV, it's a long line. Here's the opportunity to exercise your patience. So just when the women or people that are misjudged before being met, just know who you are and let that shine in any situation. And if the situation isn't permitting your nature, that's your challenge to go above and beyond. That's your challenge to break the ice. That's your challenge to leave that person with an impression of you and touch that person in a way of leading by example. So when you leave there, they'd be like, wow, that was a nice person, or, you know, I'd like to be more like her. I wasn't very nice to her, or maybe I should apologize to her. You've touched that person. So, you know, just keep who you are regardless of what your atmosphere is. And
keep it grounded. That's powerful.
Yeah.
And you may have changed someone's conceptions or view,
Right.
because like they might have just had that automatic response, and then now you've responded to them in a certain way, like, whoa.
Right.
And then next time somebody else like you won't get the same energy.
That's the most powerful lessons is through experience,
Yeah.
right? Your mom may have told you to not do something, but until you did it and got in trouble or got burned or whatever happened, that was the most powerful lesson. So I think it's more powerful to lead by example than to try to tell people, look, you need to be like this or you need to do that. Be a beckoning light of whatever message that you're trying to send people, and that'll be a more powerful impact than your words.
That's beautiful. So one thing I want to discuss before we leave is, first I want to start with this. Like, when did you have like your first drink?
We're going there.
You know why we have to go there?
It's cool.
Because we're in a college atmosphere.
I love that. Thank you. That's good.
And your story needs to be heard.
I love it.
And there are people who are going through this right now, and they don't know they're going through this, and they haven't taken the first step.
Okay, good. Thank you for giving me the atmosphere to talk about that, because I feel like that's one of my purposes to do so.
Yeah.
So, good. I'm glad you just reminded me that I'm in a college atmosphere, and this is something that people are faced with daily.
Daily.
So
some people are drinking right now.
Right now.
Because it's finals.
Whoa, and you're drinking. That's not gonna help. Message. That's not gonna help.
Some people are don't know the difference.
Okay, that's not gonna help. That just brings down your power. You want to be powerful. You know, drugs and alcohol is a false power.
Yeah.
It's a poor alternative for real power. You know, a poor replacement for real power. Real power is within yourself, and it takes time to develop it and grow to that. You want a quick fix. You want bare muscles, like they call them, or, you know, and get a quick fix and, you know, get these alcohol muscles or drug muscles. you can build that up, and that can be you every day. You know, that's by building up yourself through just self work and growing. So speaking on alcohol, you said, when did I take my first drink? I took my first drink at I think I was 18. It's not the legal age for a drink, but yeah, I was kind of I was out of my mom's house, and I started going on like the party scenes, and then, you know, I started drinking on the party scenes like most people do. And I've always been like a very shy person, and I realized like when I drink, that shyness kind of like disappears, right? That happens with everybody. And it's like, wow, this is like magic in a bottle. Like, you know, if I need a little bit of courage, I just drink that, and here I am, I'm a lion, you know? Or, you know, I'm a little shy walking in, I drink that, I'm the life of the party. But you know what? It's always, just know that it's always a price to pay. No alcohol or drugs just is gonna loan you its spirit freely. You have to pay for that. And it comes in the form of hangovers. It comes in a form of losing friends. It comes in a form of mostly losing yourself, losing who you are. So just know that it's a price to pay for, you know, for using these drugs. You're using them, it's gonna use you, you know. It's gonna expect a payment back. So, right, it starts off light, and, you know, especially when you're young, it starts off as light hangovers. That's if you get them, because, you know, you're young, you can drink all night and wake up and go to the gym. But then as you get older, you get closer to 30, you start feeling it a little bit more, right? So it starts off light, and it's a trap. Alcohol is a trap. Anything that traps you lures you in. So it's gonna allow you to be able to drink or drug without any repercussions. So, you know, you can trust it, right? It's not gonna, if you had drank or drugged, the first time you did it, something horrible had happened, that would have been the end of your drinking and drugging, right?
Yeah, but if it gives you courage.
If it gives you a little like encouragement by saying, oh no, we have a great relationship. Remember, you took me and at that party, and you were the life of the party. At least that's what you thought. You know? Association. Yeah. So you remember, you know, I helped you with this, I helped you with that. And then as time go on, you don't know that it turns. The table turns, and it starts to, I love that. It starts pimping you. Now it's like, where's my payment? Yeah, you about to miss.
Better have my money.
You about to miss that job.
Literally.
That job interview tomorrow. I'm gonna need my payment back. You're partying all night. My payment is you're gonna be here throwing up. You're gonna miss those job opportunities. You know, you have a night of partying. Next thing, you arguing with your girlfriend or boyfriend or your family members. You're ruining relationships. You know, that's where it's headed to. There's no other road for drinking and drugging other than it's certainly leading you to addictions. It's certainly leading you to a lot of pains. It's certainly leading you to a lot of missed opportunities and ruining relationships. So I know it looks glamorous, you know, because all of the rap songs and talks about, you know, drinking and the party life, but nobody's an exception to the rule. We all have to deal with the repercussions of taking these things. So don't do it.
So would you say balance it or don't do it? Honestly,
I would say if you can drink in moderation, fine. But you need to monitor yourself. You need to check in with yourself. See what's going on with you. See, like, if you're dependent on drinking. Check in with yourself. You have to be honest with yourself to do that. It takes a lot of honesty and courage to even admit that, you know what, I am depending on this bottle or these drugs. So you have to check in with yourself. You have to see, okay, am I drinking moderately and just doing it socially, having a good time? Or am I drinking in order to meet people without having fears? Now you're using it in the wrong way. And it's abusing it that way. Am I drinking so I'm more social in this environment? You know, like, be careful how you're using it. So I think a lot of people can drink in moderation,
Yeah.
and a lot of people can't.
Yeah. So,
I don't think anybody takes drugs in moderation.
yeah.
Like, like actual drugs in moderation. So,
If you've abused it, you've lost your privilege.
yeah. Yes. Bingo.
If you've abused it, you lost your privilege.
Admit it to yourself. There's no going back. There's no saying, let me press the reset button. Let me try that again. You've already abused it. You've already identified that you have addictive behavior to it. Put it down. It's time to rest it down. You had your time with it. Let it go. Okay? It served its purpose, or maybe not. Most likely not. It's time to rest it down. It's other things out here. That's the universe telling you it's time for growth. Like, put that down. That don't serve you anymore. I'm ready to elevate you, and that's not gonna take you there. So
yeah, put it down and put up yourself. Pick up yourself.
Put it down and pick yourself up. Yeah.
And as you pick yourself up, and as we conclude, what do you envision for your future? What do you see yourself doing? What do you see using your past experiences, using your passion, using who you are as a woman right now, and what do you see yourself doing to live in your
Atman? Yes, there you go.
Self?
Well, that's a good question. I feel like all of my life experiences, I was meant to go through them because they led me to who I am today. And I mentioned that I had an experience with alcohol addiction, and with that experience, having a toxic mind and body have shown me that it creates a prison for your soul. So it makes it extremely hard for you to connect with Source or God, right? So I've learned that. So it's like through being intoxicated, and with being intoxicated means that you're full of toxins, okay? So through going through that experience, I've just developed a new value for being non-toxic. I just want to be completely healthy because I've learned that being conscious of what you put into your body and eating whole and pure foods, it makes it easier for a spiritual connection. So that's one of the things that is like really important to me, and I thank my experience with alcohol with that, because it's just made me value my body, my temple more, and know that that's the place where my soul resides. And if I want to have a continuous connection with Source and God, I have to keep my body pure. So we've read on the Bible many times before God came to people, he asked them to, they fast. Well, he may have not asked them, but they fasted for maybe 40 days and 40 nights. And that was the way they saw God. Beforehand, they were polluted. So through fasting, healthy, careful fasting, and when you do eat good whole foods that is nutritionally healthy to your body, you can continue to have a long-term spiritual connection. My passion and my goals in life is to create a conscious community, like where people can come, like people who want to be enlightened can come and vibrate on the same plane with other conscious people. Obviously, people are going to be on different levels of their consciousness, so people can grow there. People can just communicate with other people who are awakened and conscious. So I want to create like a community. And that's helpful for people who've suffered through any type of addiction, because if you have, you will know, like, once you put down your addiction, especially if it's alcohol, you're like, I don't have anywhere to go. My life is boring. Everywhere I go has something, it revolves around drinking. So then you start to feel like either I'm stuck at home, either I choose to be stuck at home and boring, or I go out and put myself in jeopardy of drinking and possibly using something, you know? So I want to create a community where, people use things that actually help them and help their enlightenment, help their connection with Source. So I want to create that type of community. Anything that's taken there has actually helped spiritual growth.
And you're writing a book, correct?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
It's called Atman Being. It's basically being your Atman, your highest self, living each day as the expression of God. So we all have God within ourselves. We each are an expression of God. And we have a choice every day on what level are we operating on. Am I operating on just my human plane today, or am I going to recognize the God within myself, and am I going to walk within that godlike essence? And as I meet people, am I going to shine as God, or am I going to just operate on a human plane?
Yeah.
If I meet somebody with a bad attitude, am I going to respond in a bad attitude, or I'm going to introduce them to the God within myself and hopefully connect with the God within them? So Atman being is just connecting with your soul, your true purpose, and just living each day as God, the God that you are.
Atman being, ladies and gentlemen. And when should we expect your book?
I would say the beginning of next year.
Okay.
I'm working on it right now.
I'm going to hold you to it.
Yes.
So I've had multiple people come on my show, and I'm going to start calling myself, no, I'm not a good luck charm. Every time someone came here and they told me their vision, either way they were going to do it, but they just happened to have told me the vision, and then they did it. And it always made me happy to see it happen.
That's awesome.
And once you do it, I want to support you as much as I can.
Aw.
So I really appreciate having you on the show, Patra Smith. It was a beautiful conversation, insightful. If anyone doesn't find this useful, there's something wrong with you, and you have to get your Atman up.
Yes.
And this is how we always close off, is what is one thing that you can leave with everyone watching, the audience as I call it, to inspire, motivate them to achieve their best potential? What is one thing that you can say to inspire someone to start chasing that dream, start chasing that business, and whatever it is?
I would say, reconnect with your purpose. Reconnect with who you are. Reconnect with your spiritual assignment. A lot of people believe that we chose to come here on this earth, so we came here on an assignment. You chose this, So remember that you chose this assignment. Reconnect with what is your assignment? What is your purpose? A lot of people get caught up in their jobs and their work environments, and they define themselves by what they do at work. But reconnect with your spiritual self and your purpose, and that's what you're ultimately supposed to be putting out into this universe. So you can still work. We all have to make money, but your assignment can be a way to make money as well. So don't put it down, pick it back up, and reconnect with that. And if you have no clue what it is, talk to the source, talk to the maker, talk to God, and connect with what is your purpose. And if everybody's doing this with their purpose, then we're all contributing to a good world. So that's what I would say.
Ladies, Patra Smith, everyone. Put your toxins down, put yourself up, and reconnect with your best self.
That's right.
Thank you for being on the show.
Thanks for having me.
It was awesome.
It was good. Thank you so much.
And as we close off, my name is Edouard Gilles, and I want to thank you for tuning in to the Unlimited Power Show. And I want to remind you that you have the unlimited capability to achieve whatever it is that you want. But first, you have to believe it. And once you believe that, it will soon happen. But every day you have to take an initiative to work on yourself and reconnect with your purpose. And if you don't know what your purpose is, look at what you're doing now. What are you doing now for free that you would do for the rest of your life? Is it positive or negative? Is it uplifting or degrading who you are? And with that being said, I want to let you know that if you don't let your light shine bright, then the world will forever miss your talents, your gifts, and all the great things that you have to offer. So let your light shine, don't hide it, don't dim it, and let your Atman
shine through.
Shine through.
There you go.
You should say that again.
Let your Atman shine through.
Please be sure to like, subscribe, and share this video.